Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Days of Our Lives, July 11, 2025. So we go back to Jada and Paulina because Jada showed Paulina the footage of Chanel talking to EJ on the night of his shooting, before his shooting happened, and how she was talking to him like in a threatening manner, right? So she's saying, Paulina, I really don't want to do this, but I have to go question her, right? So Paulina, I don't know if she forgot she was mayor, because if it was Johnny, she wouldn't be behaving in this manner. You have to be unbiased regardless of your connection to, you know, the person that is suspected, right? So she's saying, do we have to do it this way? And I don't think that Chanel would have, shot EJ and all of that. So Jada's not trying to say that. Jada's just trying to interrogate her first so that they can really come to some kind of conclusion. It's not to say that Chanel was the guilty culprit, but she has to do her job. So Paulina, at some point, she does understand, and Jada understand how hard it is for her, because she is her mother at the end of the day. But Paulina said, all right, you can do your job after, but let me call her to let her know, right? So again, if it was Johnny, she would have let it just go through and Jada go ahead and arrest Johnny. But yeah, we see that in this today's episode, she did not allow Jada to go over there to Chanel with handcuffs. So there goes the special treatment, right? And after how Chanel has been treating Paulina, I'm just saying she deserved to be, brought in with handcuffs, honestly. That might be me being petty, but yes, go ahead and do that, Jada. So earlier, Chanel and Johnny were there talking, and Chanel is getting on board with EJ representing him, despite how she personally feels towards him. She knows that he loves his son and that he's going to do the best job by him. So before Johnny went back off to work, she got a phone call from Paulina, and that's when Paulina said, you need to come in. And she told her that Johnny was beside her, and she said, bring Johnny. So Johnny and Chanel come in, and they're like, what's really going on? So Jada said, I'm sorry that I have to do this, but I have to question you, Chanel. So Paulina saying, Jada, we can't do this without a lawyer. She needs legal representation. So Chanel said it shouldn't be a big deal. Amber will be fine. It's just questions that will help with Johnny's case, right? So anyway, she's thinking that it's all about Johnny, but they're not questioning Johnny. They're questioning Chanel, right? So anyway, Chanel agrees to be questioned. And Jada asks her about the night of EJ shooting, how she went over there to, talk to him, and how it was done in a threatening manner. And Chanel appears to be oblivious about that, and that she did not threaten EJ's life, no way whatsoever. And Jada said, look, I saw the video, I saw what happened, and Chanel is behaving defensive, and it's like, Jada, you know me. And Jada is like, I know you, and I'm not asking you as a friend, I'm asking you as a commissioner. So she's like, okay, commissioner, let me tell you this, I did not do this, I did not threaten EJ's life whatsoever, I did not shoot him, it didn't get to that point, right? So she's getting all defensive, but at the end of the day, Jada has to do her job. You can't be playing favorites at the end of the day, no matter if you guys are friendly with each other. And that's why I hate when, business and friendships get mixed together, because it always becomes messy. Anyways, Chanel is worried about how it's gonna look, and Pauline said, don't worry, that's why I asked you that you have a legal representation. They try to get Justin, and Justin is, I guess, away for the weekend, so he'll get back to them. They did go back to the square to decompress, and she was like, you need to get back to work. And Johnny said he's not going nowhere. Xander and Philip have to wait because I just need to make sure you're okay. And Pauline said, yeah, you are top priority, right? So Maggie was on the phone with her eldest daughter, Melissa, and it turns out she has some work emergency, so she can't go on this vacation with her to Bermuda, right? She was looking forward to just bonding with her eldest, and Sarah makes a point about just doing it later down the line, and it being a group trip where it involves not only Melissa but her and Victoria and Holly and Melanie, right? So that they can get to get some bonding time and some girl time. So Maggie said, okay, let me just call my travel agent. So Sarah said, before you do that, there's one hurdle that we have to overcome, and that's Xander, right? I need to run it by him before we go on this trip, because I can always clear my overtime and clear up some days for later down. I've been working overtime all this time. So, let's just run it by Xander first. So back to Xander and Philip. So Philip was telling him on yesterday's episode that, if he doesn't like working together and deal with him, he just should quit. So Xander's like, I should quit. Like, at the end of the day, my father gave me full control of the company. Like, you should leave, right? So anyway, Philip said, that if I leave, or if it goes otherwise, the truth will come out, and then we both will lose what we want. And then, we're just at a stand-up. We just gotta figure out how to work with each other regardless of whatever. I don't like the arrangement, but it is what it is, right? So anyways, Philip gets to taunting Xander again, getting on his last nerve and spiking up that whole anger of his, talking about how does it feel to not be truly loved by Victor when he was alive, and just being a constellation prize essentially after the fact that he passed away. He didn't even acknowledge you when he was alive, and how I was treating everything. So that hit a nerve with Xander, and I'm like, Philip, that's so uncalled for. Why are you pushing this man's button knowing how he stays? So he's like, what are you gonna do now, Xander? Are you gonna kill me? So I just think he's trying to force him out. But Philip was definitely being annoying towards Xander. Xander's like, what, get out. At some point, Sarah comes in, and Sarah's like, I can see the tension, what's going on. So he tells her that they're just disagreeing over some business or whatever it is, and Philip is just getting back in touch with what's going on since being beaten and in a coma and all that, right? So he goes for some breakfast or some lunch or whatever, right? And Xander and Sarah get to talking. So anyways, Sarah is there to talk about Victoria, and Xander's like, what's going on? Is she okay? So she said, yeah, she's okay, but she'll be better when we leave to Bermuda in a few hours. So again, that was really off guard, and that caught Xander off guard, because I would be too, because like, you just spring this on him that, look, in a few hours you're going to a different country, and Xander's like, over my dead body is not going to happen, because like, Victoria's far too young to know about traveling to another island and all that. So what was she doing in Bermuda or God knows what. So I'm saying she's not too young to travel, but my thing is the principle, because she's just springing that on him. She didn't tell him in advance. They didn't have a discussion over her taking their child out of the country. So that's a big decision. Not like, oh, hey, I'm gonna go over to a relative's place, or I'm going to the park today. It's a big decision, and she should have consulted him in advance. So I can understand the reaction, but I think Xander was definitely a little bit extreme when he said, this is not going to happen, and if you go to the airport, I'm going to have you arrested. I don't think he should have arrested for that reason. I think they should have dealt with this in a civil manner, but again, they are not seeing eye to eye, and they're not seeing the bigger picture, which is their daughter, right? So she's like, I hate you, Xander, with every fiber in me. And you do not hate that man. You just hate that you can't get your own way, and you should have dealt with it in a different manner. You're going to talk in a few hours, like, what? So Sarah comes over to Philip, and Philip already knows where this is gonna go. It's not gonna be a great encounter. So she's saying that, look, what if I tell you that I can give you a way out of you working with Xander, and that you get full control of the company? And she's saying like, look, I know that Xander beat you, right? Why not admit it? Like, I can make sure that whoever knows about your forgery, they are not going to testify against you, and they're going to act oblivious to it. Stephanie and Alex and Maggie and all of that. And he's like, what if Vivian come forward with some other evidence? Like, she was very believable when she showed it to Xander and all of that. So it's like, nobody's going to believe that woman over the rest of us. So he's like, I am definitely not believing that. I'm being realistic here, and I'm not gonna do it. Like, sorry. Like, he's asking what's in it for her. So she's like, you deserve justice for what was done to you, and also it will put Xander in jail and also away from me and my daughter, right? So at the end of the day, he figured out what she really was on with that. So he's like, no, I'm not gonna do it. So I'm happy for that, because you go, Philip, because at the end of the day, like, they both did wrong to each other on different intensities, but still, Sarah has no right to be coming there doing all of that, right? She's just as bad as Xander now. Like they're both operating like they don't have no goddamn sense. Belle did come over there to the Demare Mansion to just show EJ what was on the memory drive, and it showed, Chanel confronting him in a very threatening manner towards him, and he doesn't remember that conversation with her, and nor does he think that she could have had the guts to shoot. But then he understands that when people are angry, they can really act impulsively, especially when backed up in the corner. Belle doesn't believe it, but it could help Johnny be vindicated, but she's just worried about how it will affect their marriage, considering they were trying to adopt a baby earlier. And EJ thought about that and how he was blamed for that, and he doesn't want that to be the outcome, but at the end of the day, he just wants to know that his son is free no matter what happens outside of that, right? So it was really that they're talking about, and how Belle has to be fair with all of this, given that she's the DA and all that. So he and her did their little intimate time, and that was really it with them. So Xander comes storming into the Kirak's mansion looking for Sarah. And he's like, where is she? Where is she? So Maggie's like, what are you doing now? So he's like, where is Sarah? Like, I need to talk to her. Like, who do you guys think you are to just take my daughter and go to a different country? Like, what are you guys up to? Like, I don't trust what you guys are up to, that you're trying to take my daughter away from me. So Maggie's trying to defend herself. I said, look, we're not trying to do that. We're just trying to have a alone time since my eldest daughter could not make it. So he's like, how convenient. Like, I don't trust you guys, and I think because of you guys hatred towards me, you guys are doing this. So Maggie again defends herself and said that that's not the case. And he's like, my father was your husband and everything. Like, you do not have any loyalty towards me, no love towards me or whatever. So Maggie feels to believe that, okay, it's about him being unloved and how he wasn't welcome into the family and all of that. And she was saying, like, Victor wouldn't want that. So he's like, what do you mean Victor would want that? You are not his son and all that. But she's like, I was married to him. Like, I know he wouldn't stand for this, for his granddaughter, for his namesake to be brought out of this mansion, right? So anyways, he's like, he doesn't want to hear that. He is his father's son. So he's asking for the nanny to pack her things and get Victoria, right? He's taking his daughter away because it's not going to happen. They're not going to take her away from him and go to another country. So the nanny packed everything and he took his daughter, and Sarah comes back later and is like, what's going on? So Maggie said, like, Xander's gone with the baby. So here we go with World War Sarah versus Xander. So that is it, guys, for today's episode. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to my channel. Comment below your thoughts on today's episode. I will see you guys tomorrow. Well, next week. Have a wonderful weekend.